drawn, and now we're at Cap 38. Councillor Anderson.
To introduce this motion, I made the motion because I think all of us are aware of the value of open green space and trees, and we talk about how good for our quality of life this is on a regular basis, and I do not see how we can continue to use open green space for residential infill in a city that's growing as aggressively as we are. And to some degree, and I'd like to read to you a funded program in the operating budget called the Branch Urban Planning and Environment Parks and Open Space Master Plan. This new master plan will set the open space vision for the city for the next 20 years and will position the city to meet the challenges of providing an integrated, multifunctional open space network at a time when we face unprecedented growth through the potential annexation, suburban development, infill in mature and established neighborhoods, and emerging intensification in the city center. This service package will develop a new parks and open space master plan that is aligned with the city's strategic plans. This service package will support the development of a new parks and open space master plan that will inform decision-making for the provision of parks and recreational service delivery using a land-based approach serving multiple objectives, including preserving a natural heritage system, drainage and stormwater management, transportation initiatives such as walkability and connectivity. The city is experiencing considerable pressures from growth in all areas of the city, and an updated strategic policy is required to better inform decision-making in the area of parks and recreation service delivery, to determine appropriate provision levels which are financially sustainable. This initiative is a leading priority for the urban planning and environment branch specifically, and the broader city of Edmonton from the perspective of maintaining and growing an integrated and effective open space network. The current urban parks master plan is set to expire in 2016, and a new strategic vision is required to meet the challenges of growth in the next 2 decades. If this initiative is not funded adequately, the city will lack the strategic policy to develop an effective open space network that meets the needs of all Edmontonians. Specifically, the current planning document does not sufficiently inform decision-making in all areas currently experiencing development pressures, such as downtown and in areas where schools are declared surplus. Thank you.
Okay.
This is funded.
It is, yes. And this is what you're moving to unfund? Or you're reading a different package?
Not at all.
You're moving to unfunded package?
That was an operating budget funded package, which directly relates to the motion that I made that the capital profile surplus school sites first place program number 15, 17, 50, 37 be deleted, and the total amount of $2,053,000 be released back to the source.
Okay, so Councillor Gibbons.
First, a question to the motioner.
Yep.
So, by doing this, is this a way to stop first-time home buyers' sites?
Actually, on page 188, it very specifically.
Yes or no?
Yes.
I'm going to ask, I guess, administration. What's these dollars? What's the implication of these dollars?
Councillor Gibbons, the funding package funds the pre-planning, the subdivision, all of the necessary approvals, the levies, all of those pieces that are required to what I would call get ahead of the curve when we're working with community groups to make first-time home buyers and surplus school sites successful. Right now we've been doing it on an ad hoc basis, and this is simply good planning and an efficient way to consolidate all those efforts at the front end of the process.
So I've just been working with your office on an RFP going out for our end of town for 2 seniors, and a first-time home buyer is almost to come forward to go out for an RFP. Does this mean that after, is this just to cut the legs off from you from financing of moving some of this stuff forward?
So, Councillor Gibbons, the funding that was coming through the sale of lands is going into the surplus school site housing reserve. There's now money in the reserve as this initial sales were approximately 5 years ago. We now have an opportunity to ask Council to formalize the draw from the surplus school site housing reserve. This is a budget request, basically asking Council to support the administration taking funds from a reserve that was set up for this intended purpose.
To get other sites on and going and doing all those.
To do the planning and paying off the levies and to do all of those things that we've been doing on an ad hoc basis up until now.
So, Mr. Mayor, can I speak to it now?
Sure.
If this, to me, is this, well, in Ward 4, we already have 2, and 1 being built, and 2 more ready to go, 3 more ready to go, and I have spent countless amount of evenings talking to people and convincing them it's a very, very good way of moving forward to make sure that we've, in the case of Rapeside and Fitzgerald, make sure we have enough kids for schools to come, and down at over at the below Overlander, the same thing there, and I door knocked there last year, and wanted to specifically know how people were feeling about their first-time home buyers' houses and how they felt about living where they did, and they were extremely happy. This is no different than Habitat for Humanity of going into, now that they're going into more green belts instead of getting into older communities where the NIMBY attitude sets in. I totally object to this type of motion coming forward with the amount of hours and years we have put forward to get this program going, and I know where my vote is, and you know where my vote's going to be. Thank you.
Well, the motion's in order, but I can't disagree with you that it would be better to debate the merits of the program than unfund the program through the budget process, but the motion is in order. Councillor Henderson, we are at 5:28.
Yeah, I'll be seconds.
Do we want a motion to extend to complete this item?
No, I have somewhere to go, Mr. Mayor. And we are scheduled till 5:30. That was firm. 5:30 is 5:30.
Okay, then.
I'll just be seconds because.
Okay, Councillor Henderson, you literally have 2 minutes.
It won't even take that. This is one of 2 things. I'm going to speak to it. One of the 2 things. It's either a motion to stop this program, which I would argue is not in order, because this council debated it and said we were going to go forward on it. It has been debated by this council and decided on. Or it's a motion to take away our ability to do it better, which I think is equally nutty. So I would really argue that
I'm ruling it's the latter.
Yeah. Anyway, so if the whole point is to do as good a job on this as we possibly can, and we should not be cutting ourselves off at the knees.
Now, Councillor Nicol, you were on the board. I accidentally clicked on you. If no one wishes to speak further.
I got questions.
Okay, then we'll pick this up at 9:30 tomorrow.
Orders.
I'm not here tomorrow morning because I'm doing something for the city.
Here we go.
Well, someone's called orders, so there's nothing I can do.
No, I didn't know. No, hold on.
No?
I did not do that. I said I would, that he had 1 minute, so.
I'm on the board.
10 minutes? Someone will move to
I move to extend orders for 10
Second.
minutes.
I'll second that.
Mr. Mayor, I'm on the board. Am I not?
Yes, but a motion
So,
to extend the orders
does
is
that
procedural
supersede
motion.
my
Yes,
time
it
to
does
speak?
Yes, it does. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, motion to extend
It's a
orders.
procedural motion. It supersedes. It can
Overrides.
come from anywhere.
Let's go.
Well, hold on. We have to vote to extend by 10 minutes. Please vote.
Now,
Display the vote. That is carried. Okay, Councillor Nicol.
well, I'll be frank. I'm tired of the moral indignancy of some councillors who weren't here when the program was originally created. And I'll ask some very blunt questions about the efficacy and the monetary value with regards to this program. This program was put together without consultation, with the communities involved, way back whenever. And so Mr. Trushenko knows these questions are coming with regards to this program. And so Mr. Trushenko, in terms of the actual costs of the land that's been taken out, right? What are the units selling for typically on the first-time home buyers program?
Typically between $250,000 and $300,000, about $10,000 to $20,000 less than a typical unit outside of outside of the program itself.
Okay, and what's the market? What's being sold in the open market if the land component was also taken out?
Typically, the market ranges from lower than that to higher than that.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of from the fiscal side, there are cheaper products out there than the first home buyer program once the land has been functioned out of it.
Councillor Nicol, that's correct, but this was never intended to be a low-cost home buyer program. It was about trying to create less expensive housing for first-time buyers.
Well, where did Mr. Ohm go? Because we were going to talk about green space. Mr. Ohm has left the building. So I guess it's up to you, Mr. Clausen. Just yesterday, we went through the discussion of a master plan with regards to appropriate amounts of green space in communities, in mature neighborhoods, and outside the outer ring road. Does that not also would include surplus school sites, all available green space?
The green space would be certainly part of the assessment in terms of coming up with the outcome in terms of the policy framework.
Could one say that it might be premature before that examination to continue with the first-time home buyers program, measuring it against green space needs for communities?
Councillor Nicol, we have a council-approved program that was approved in 2006.
Gentlemen, it's an either-or situation.
Councillor Nicol, it's actually your choice. They can't answer it. It is a council decision.
Okay, then let's put it this way. I'll put it to you, Mr. Farbrother. Is it a legitimate question to ask?
It's a reasonable question, yes.
Thank you very much. And so I'll take my last couple of minutes and just speak towards this program, which was rammed down the throats of 20 communities without consultation, without discussion. And it's been well known that I've never supported this program, nor never will I support this program, simply based on that fact alone. So if we're talking about measuring green space appropriately, and being fair to communities inside the Henday and outside the Henday, then we should wait for the master plan, should we not? That would make more sense. If they want to hold this money in abeyance, that is fine. But don't put the cart before the horse. We prioritize, we organize, and then we execute. But the first-time home buyers program was a clumsy attempt. Nothing more than a clumsy attempt at trying to put in infill. And if you want to talk about poor public engagement for over a decade, well, here's the poster child for it, the first-time homebuyers program. And so with that, I'll end my comments. Thank you.
Councillor Sohi to speak.
Very quick, Mr. Mayor. Absolutely agree that when this program was started, there were steps missed. But we have come a long, long way from that date. And today, many communities have embraced this program. Councillor Gibbons know about that, I know about that, and I stood in front of 200 angry people 2 months ago and defended this program along with Mayor. People get it when you tell them the value of the program. We miscommunicated that. I understand that. We need to do better communication. But killing this program does not help and also sends a very, very bad precedent for those communities who have embraced this program. I can't go back to those communities and say, look, the past council made a mistake. You took this program under very goodwill and understanding that this program will continue. We need to continue to program the program in order to be consistent with those communities that embraced it. Thank you.
Councillor Essinger, if you could take the chair.
Councillor Chair.
I disagree with the characterization of any of this as indignance. I think it's follow-through. I think councils subsequent to the council in 2006 that made this decision have made a number of commitments to communities about the quality of what we're going to do in terms of engagement, in terms of flexibility around site configuration, and implementing those commitments requires some resources. And to my mind, this is part of the resourcing of following through on commitments that more recent councils have made. And I feel an ownership over that. I can't speak to what happened in 2006 other than that it did create some wounds in the community, and these are some of the resources that are needed, in my view, in order to follow through on commitments that heal some of those wounds. If the actual intent is to go back to square one, that should be a policy debate, not a budget debate. However, it is a valid motion, as I've ruled, to unfund these resources. I think the consequence of that would be not being able to follow through on the commitments and a cascading effect into having a policy debate. I don't think this is the smoothest way to do it, but if the intent really is to give council the opportunity to thumbs up and thumbs down on this and either affirm or not affirm our commitment to moving ahead with this program to the level of quality that this council has committed to in terms of consultation and in terms of flexibility and in terms of the other things that we have done in order to try to improve this program and deliver the kinds of outcomes that Councillor Gibbons has talked about and that others have mentioned in the communities that they represent. So I'm not going to support this motion, and that's all I have to say about it. Thank you. I'll take back the chair and go to Councillor Anderson to close.
Every one of us on this council has brought a motion before a committee or before council at the request of far fewer citizens than I am being asked to represent. I have a minimum of 2 very, very opposed neighborhoods to the end result of this particular program. I said I would find a way to put it on an agenda. I made an inquiry. It came to executive committee in May. None of the members of that executive committee were swayed by the speakers, and there was no opportunity to bring the program before all members of council. I went to a meeting a week or 10 days ago, and if Councillor Sohi thinks he had 200 angry people, he could have come to Haddle last week with me at the top of their voices asking to be represented, to find a way to represent them and their wishes. The only way I could find was to give everybody on this council an opportunity to say continue the program or don't continue the program, which is what this vote will be. Thank you.
So if you wish to unfund the program or unfund this capital profile, please vote yes. If you wish to retain the funding in the program, please vote no. Is everybody clear? Please vote. Display the vote. And that has failed. Okay. Technically, we ordered to extend to 6. We have 2 more minutes. Anything else? No, we're good. No, we're done. I think that's a good note to end on. We will reconvene at 9:30 tomorrow with the yellowhead items.